Imagine designing something that works perfectly on paper. It's efficient, affordable, and technically successful. But decades later, you realize it helped reshape cities, politics, and even those who face environmental risks. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm Bethany Keown, and today I'm joined with Jenny Park to explore how engineering decisions can shape society in ways we might not always expect. Starting off with the social ideology of the motor car, this narrative explains that the car was originally promoted as freedom. Cars allowed people to travel further and live outside crowded city centers. But over time, cities reorganized themselves around cars. Highways expanded, suburbs spread out, and many people now depend on cars just to get to work or buy groceries. What started as a tool for individual freedom eventually created a system that people rely on just to function. From an ethics perspective, this raises an important point for engineers. Professional codes like the ENGG rules of conduct say engineers must hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. That means thinking beyond whether something works technically and considering how our designs might affect society long term.
Yeah, and you can really see that today. In a lot of the cities, if you don't have a car, it's actually hard to live normally. Things like school, work, and grocery stores are often too far apart to walk.
Exactly. Cities are redesigned around vehicles instead of people, and that shows how engineering decisions can influence society in a way we might not expect when the technology is first introduced. Ethically, engineers have to recognize that infrastructure designs can shape how people live and move for generations. Another resource we looked at was the environmental racism video. It explains that environmental risks, like pollution, highways, or industrial facilities, are often located near communities with less political or economic power. This connects to the idea of neoliberalism that we discussed in the unit. When infrastructure and development decisions are driven primarily by cost, efficiency, or economic growth, some communities may end up carrying more of the environmental burden than others.
Right, and that raises a big ethical question. Infrastructures might be efficient from an engineering or economic perspective, but that doesn't always mean it's fair for everyone affected by it.
Exactly. Decisions about where to build highways or industrial sites don't just affect traffic or economics, they affect health, quality of life, and environmental exposure for entire communities. If engineers are supposed to protect the public, as the ENGG code says, then we also need to think about which parts of the public may be impacted the most by our designs.
Before we continue, a quick message from our sponsors.
Today's episode is proudly sponsored by ENGG 513, the roles and responsibilities of the professional engineering society.
Helping engineering students everywhere question whether their designs are just technically correct or ethically responsible too.
ENGG 513, reminding future engineers that spreadsheets, steel beams, and infrastructure decisions can shape society for decades.
And now, back to the episode.
The final resource hones around the Iron Ring ceremony, which many engineers in Canada participate in. Engineers wear the ring as a reminder that their work affects the public and that ethical responsibility doesn't end once a design meets technical requirements.
So it's basically a reminder that engineering isn't just about solving technical problems. It's about thinking about the consequences of these solutions too.
Exactly. Engineers design roads, energy systems, infrastructure, and technology that shape how society functions. That means our decisions can influence where people live, how they travel, and sometimes even which communities experience more environmental risk. Overall, the connection between these resources is that engineering is never completely neutral. Technology, infrastructure, and policy are all connected, and engineering decisions can shape society for decades. As a future engineer, that means I can't just focus on whether something works technically. I also need to think about the broader consequences of what I'm designing. That includes considering environmental impacts, long-term social effects, and whether certain communities may be affected more than others.